Hey guys, welcome back to the No Limit Unleashed podcast. We are on episode 5 today with guest speaker Jennifer Spivak. She is the CEO and founder of the Ad Girls, which is a female focused Facebook and Instagram advertising agency. And she has been dubbed the conversion queen by Forbes, which I absolutely love that. Really incredible. And she's been featured in a lot of notable publications like Entrepreneur Magazine, the New York Times. And Jennifer is on a mission to help amplify women's voices in their bank accounts through marketing that truly works. And she and her team have created nearly $100 million for female entrepreneurs worldwide. Absolutely incredible. Jennifer, it's amazing to see you and have you on today. I am honored. Thank you so much for joining.
Well, I love you so much, Jeff. We've been in connection in one way, shape, or form for so many years when both of us were still little baby entrepreneurs. So, I was a yes to anything you asked me to do.
I appreciate it so much. And obviously, you've had an incredible journey. I'm sure you have an incredible story. You've had a lot of success, but I'd love to kick this off before we even get into what is the Ad Girls Agency. What were you doing before all this? Did you go to college? Did you have a degree in marketing? What was kind of the journey before all this?
Yes. So I did go to college. I did go to school for advertising and public relations. I was certain that I was going to be one of those cool PR people with a clipboard. And I did one internship in PR and was like, I hate it here. This is not it. And so, it was 2010, 2011. It was like that time where if you were a young person in marketing, they were like, social media, go. So I kind of fell into the social media space, which eventually transitioned into the social media advertising space. But I actually, when I was in my junior year of college, everybody in my program was going and getting internships at the big agencies in Manhattan. And I thought big companies are gross. I hate them. I'm going to go make my own internship. So I got approval from my college department to go create my own. And I went on Craigslist and met this guy. That's always the funny, right? I went on Craigslist and met this guy. You would never ask me to get out then.
What category was that in?
Right? He was, he was a couple of years older than me. And he basically was like, hey, I am trying to build a marketing company. I have a couple of clients. I have an office in Brooklyn and I'm looking for an intern. But my vision for this intern is that I'm going to go back to school and get my MBA in a couple of years. I want them to run the company. And so I met him. He hired me on the spot. I mean, it was literally 3 clients and me and this dude in this tiny little office in Brooklyn where our shoulders were sort of always touching because it was so small. And this is when I was still in college, right? And we built this company. I did eventually become a part owner and managing director, built this company to 2 offices, one in New York, one in Boston, multiple millions of dollars, grew the whole team. And then after a couple of years of that, I thought, oh, this place kind of accidentally turned into a little bit of a boys club. And I'm not sure that I'm aligned with the culture anymore. And I think I kind of know how to do this. What if I just kind of went and did this myself? And so I never really had a real job in that sense. I kind of went college, half entrepreneur, and then into completely being on my own starting the end of 2014, which was a little over 10 years ago.
Incredible. So 2010, 2011, I just started my Facebook in 2011. I had no idea what to do on Facebook. When I see those time hops that come up and I see some of my posts, I'm like, what in the world was I thinking? Or what was I talking about? It's really, really weird, but it's really cool to know, at that time you were already, sounds like, getting way ahead of a lot of other people. And I was in the MySpace thing before Facebook, but Facebook was very new and I really didn't even know how powerful that was. And I actually used to use Craigslist to freelance. I would contact companies through there and it was actually a really powerful tool. So that's really cool to hear. So you started a little bit before we did. And I know you've known about us since the beginning, I believe. So we've got similar journeys, I guess, and you've had a lot of success, as I mentioned. How did the Ad Girls come to life? And the name is really cool. I get the mission already, but for those of you who don't know about the Ad Girls, what can you tell us a little bit about the agency, how it how it came together? Was there a specific mission statement from the get-go? Did it evolve over time? Stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely a specific mission statement from the get-go. Look, everything that I've done for the last 15 years of my life has been about putting more money in the hands of more women, period. I think that there's nothing that could be more impactful for obviously women individually, also the world at like a macro collective level. That really started for me when I was in my early 20s and was in a very dangerous, physically abusive relationship. And ultimately, the story really starts actually getting out of it. I got out of it. I, got a new apartment. Like I moved on, like I was good. But one of the things that I started doing was volunteering at domestic violence organizations, because I just thought like, this has got to be the best way to heal, right? Like I'm going to make this mean something if this happened to me. And in doing that, I started noticing that most of the women that these organizations were helping were having a lot harder of a time leaving the relationships that they were in than I did. And I was like curious about what that was about. And I eventually learned that it really just came down to having access to money. I just happened to have $1,500 in a savings account that my abuser didn't know about. And that meant that instead of saying, am I going to, leave the home that we share and like go to a shelter? Like that wasn't right. I had money to go get a new apartment. And that I didn't know at the time was the game changer for me. And so diving further into this and being really curious about this, I learned that financial abuse is actually present in 99% of domestic violence relationships, which literally means that women having access to money is sometimes a matter of life and death. And at bare minimum, it's the option to like never have to be beholden to any person, situation, city, town, job, anything. And so the second that like information became very clear to me, that's when I was like, great. Everything that we will be doing going forward is about putting more money in the hands of more women. I had this marketing skill and the two came together and I was like, cool, we're gonna do that through marketing.
What a story. I'm sorry things went the way they did there for you, but it sounds like you obviously came out on top and become a much better person since then. So kudos to you for being able to get through those kind of challenges and just come out on top. That's amazing. Yeah. Now, building an agency, I've talked to a lot of agency owners over the year. I know the years. I know there's a lot of challenges involved in building a business, but agency in particular, there's a lot of stuff.
There's kind of hell.
Yes. Yeah, you know all about all this stuff and all the challenges. Is there anything in particular that you face coming into building your own agency that's been really notable for you? Anything in particular like that?
Yeah, I definitely, when I was earlier on, I actually was very adamant that I was not building an agency because I was like, I don't want to manage team. I'm a marketer first and foremost before I'm a business owner. I love marketing. I'm like a true marketing nerd. Advertise to me. Like I want to be advertised to so I can analyze all, like I just love it. Right. And so that was my plan initially. And for the first few years, I was really more of a freelancer, right, than somebody that had an agency. It was mostly just me. I had, a VA at one point or someone that like wrote the copy. And so early on when it was just me, truth is there weren't that many challenges because it was me. I wasn't managing anybody. I was good at marketing. I was good at client relations. I was good at closing sales and I had no expenses. And so I had very little like life because I was managing like 12 clients at a time because I'm insane, but I was making like a good amount of money and I'm in my mid 20s, like just killing it, having a great time. Where things became more challenging was when I realized that like I was continuing to grow and I clearly could not keep doing it alone. I remember one night, it was the day after Thanksgiving, which was of course Black Friday. And I was in Vegas with my family at a casino, like on like a client call, like sitting at the casino at a slot machine. And I was like, okay, I think might be time to just like get over it and start hiring. And so hiring is the hardest freaking thing I've ever done in my life. It is, they say like business is like the best like personal growth journey. Managing a team and hiring for an agency, that's what that is. So yeah, figuring out and mastering, and I still haven't mastered it. I mean, it's been years of figuring out how do you find the right people? How do you onboard them and train them? And how do you make sure that like the integrity of what you've built and what you've stood for is being upheld by these people who are initially virtual strangers? And so that has been it's not even like it was a challenge. It's just a constant thing. It's a part of being in the agency space and having a business model that requires people implementing. You'll obviously understand this. I think it's the most challenging part. And I had an idea for a long time that like the goal was to get to the other side of it. And I'm like, I think realizing that like this is actually just part of the journey. Like something's gonna happen tomorrow and there's nothing I can do to just like, it's people and people are gonna people and you just kind of have to be ready to roll with it.
That is really, really well said. People are people at the end of the day. Hiring is for sure a challenge, I think, for anybody really. But we're fully remote, so that is a just whole new added layer of complexity and challenges. Now, are you guys all remote? Or you have an office? Everybody's remote?
Everybody is fully remote.
Okay.
My business partner lives in Texas. I'm in New York, as you know. I think there's like one or two other team members that are in New York, but mostly all over the place. So we've been fully remote from the beginning. We never really knew anything else other than that.
And so COVID probably did not impact you like a lot of others. I mean, I'm sure you guys were busier since COVID. I mean,
it was a great year.
Yeah.
A great year for business. Not to discount what was going on in the world, but yeah, that was definitely a good year for us. And again, we were already remote. Zoom was already my life, and so it wasn't really that different business wise.
Yeah, that's how it was for us, and we've always been remote as well. I do find it. I think everybody agrees that you start kind of off as a one man show, and I was a freelancer, went into the business side just like you, and finding the right people and then being okay delegating certain responsibilities. It's like this is your baby, and you're going to start relinquishing responsibilities to other people. Are they going to run things the same way as you? Do they care about it to your level? There's all these things that go into hiring and finding the right people. So I was glad you said that, because it is such an important factor when you're growing and evolving and trying to get people in the door to help you out. So
yeah, and of course at the end of the day you're the one that has to answer to your clients, and so it's not only the relinquishing of control in the work being done, but knowing that at the end of the day you're not in control but you're still responsible. Whew, that is a doozy to like sit in your nervous system and be okay with. I'm learning that one still every single day. I'll let you know when I get to the other side.
I don't think it ever stops. I think that's just life for us, but it's worth it for sure. So
Yeah.
now I know we've talked a little bit about this very magical framework that makes the Ad Girl so successful. I'm not going to pry into a bunch of details. You don't need to tell everybody your trade secrets, but I'd love to hear a little bit about the framework and what makes you guys so successful with how you do things.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things. I mean, look, let's be like 100% real. There's a million other marketing agencies out there. And while I don't think all of them at face value say they do the things that we do, there's a pool of that massive, pool of people that at face value would say they do things similarly. When I'm talking to clients, what I'll always tell them that is our sort of differentiating factor is our motto or ethos about marketing and ads, which is that an ad by itself doesn't do anything. I often say that like at some level calling us an advertising agency is like minimizing all of the support that we do end up providing to our clients, because we understand that of course we're going to create great ads. Of course we're going to know how to work the platform, like duh a little bit, but that can't be the end of it for the types of clients that we work with. And so because an ad by itself doesn't do anything is our motto and our ethos, we end up supporting our clients with the entire buyer journey. And that's really like the promise that we make to clients, that we are taking ownership of making sure that every single touch point in that buyer journey is well optimized. We have clients, this is just one example, who have book a call funnels. And one of my account managers is in their GHL listening at 2x speed to the recording of every single sales call so that we can get the qualitative feedback that we need of who is coming through. Are there different ways that we need to address objections in the messaging? Do we need to relook at who we're attracting on the front end? Like, it's so involved beyond just ads. And I am a relentless perfectionist. It's got to be a part of this answer as well. I have a vision of what this needs to look like in order for us to be in integrity with the promises that we make and the service that we deliver. And I do my damn best, not perfect, but my damn best to get my entire team trained up to be able to deliver on that. So I feel like those are some things that are unique and different. And one of them is me.
And I was going to say, like, what is so different about you versus traditional agencies? But you pretty much summarized all that. I mean, having people listen to recordings and like digging that thoroughly into stuff, that's pretty next level. I
Yeah.
don't typically hear from other agencies they're doing that level of involvement. So that's pretty amazing that you're doing that. Now, when you guys are, what kind of metrics are you looking at when you're measuring the success for your clients? Is it I'm sure you're doing call funnels, you're doing lead gens, I mean, kind of everything. But is there any particular metrics you guys are looking for that really says, wow, this is working really well for them and this has been a very successful journey?
Of course, there's metrics all throughout the funnel that we can look at that will give us indication of where things are off and what we can improve. But what else in the world could matter other than the client's overall profitability? Like, I've seen examples, like even with my own ad funnel, I regularly have lower than average click-through rates, right? I have certain stats throughout my funnel that you would say are like not good, but obviously looking at that in a silo is useless. I regularly get a 20 to 30 times return on ad spend. So who cares about those things? Again, we look at them. It's not like we don't. Of course we have to. We use them as part of our decision-making process. But each individual client's profitability, when we factor in their margins and their costs and the way that their business operates and their cash flow, that's the end all be all always.
Like when we're talking about, metrics and what makes things very successful for your customers, is there certain steps do you guys go through every single time to ensure the success for all people? Is it obviously there's stuff that you guys provide, but is there things that your customers are expected to provide you with to make sure that you're always getting these successful metrics at the end of the day?
I mean, most of our clients are coming in with, I was going to say like a funnel, but sometimes it's the bare bones of a funnel. So there's something there. And we are ultimately sprucing that up and shining that up and making all of it work. I feel like the thing that we do first with every single client that is so crucial and important and that ends up influencing both the ads as well as the funnel and the email sequence is really figure out what is truly unique messaging that relates to this particular client. And I feel like, and whenever I talk about this, it sounds like it's basic. Maybe it is fine. It's like marketing 101. But most entrepreneurs I have found are truly terrible at actually identifying what is unique or special about what they do. So I find so often we're looking at, let's say, a client sales page, and there's a headline across the top that is basic, boring, and says nothing to me. And then it's like the 8th FAQ, there's a question, and then they're going into this crazy wild process they have with this insane transformation. And I'm like, this is the thing. It's hidden all the way at the bottom. So it's not about changing, obviously, right? It's about pulling out what is the transformation and the magic that is already happening with our clients, knowing that they're probably really bad at telling us what it is. Their sales page and their written messaging is probably not the best indicator of what that is. And so we spend a ridiculous amount of time, quite frankly, in the beginning, really digging into that and making sure that before we ever launch anything, that we are taking into account the fact that the online space is crowded AF. And if we launch with something that is boring, basic, or blends in, we might even get some good lead costs, but we know we won't see the right conversions on the back end. So that is another place where that like relentlessness comes in of like, no, we're not just going to take what you told us. We're going to like do way extra due diligence to really understand what could be truly unique and make sure that it is deterring all of the wrong people, because that's really important with ads, and really only allowing in the right people who are truly your people.
Well, that's a great way to approach things. I think, I think most business owners get kind of blinded, but they're just so involved in everything in the business that it is hard to determine, okay, what truly makes us unique and what are our USPs and how are we going to, approach people. And it's great to have somebody look in from the outside with their fresh set eyes and perspectives. Yes. And that's, I mean, I feel like it's a no brainer, but it's not, I think you're probably seeing that in your business quite a bit. So Are you focused on any particular niches or categories, or you work with any industries?
A little bit. I mean, I have examples of industries and clients that are way outside of what I would say is our norm, but in general, we work with female coaches and course creators. That is like the bulk, 80 to 85% of our client roster. Now, what industry they're in inside of that, we have relationship coaches, people with health courses, people with courses that teach you how to grow your business on social media. I mean, all the people that help, med spas get more clients, like everything you can think of. But it is generally in the online education space, again, like high ticket coaching or courses. And 99% women. We do have and have had some really awesome men as clients who really love what we are up to and are, quite frankly, just as sick of like the bro marketing nonsense that they like. That's a lot of our messaging. And men are often, I'm surprised sometimes how often they're responding to that and going like, I know your messaging is for women, but it's actually really resonating with me. Is it like okay if I book a call with you? And I'm like, of course, if you're like about what we stand for, like, let's go.
That's freaking awesome. I love that. Is there any like really cool stories that you have from any particular clients that you transformed their entire business? I don't mean just running ads, but maybe you really
Yeah.
made changes in every aspect of the way they operate.
Yeah. There's one that comes to mind, and I think there's maybe so many things that I could talk about here, but it's funny because you said, and I saw your questions, of course, before we got on this recording, but you had the specific phrase transformed. And I always think about this one client who, in her video testimonial, literally says, the ad girls have transformed my business, and I am not exaggerating. And so that's who I'm thinking of. Her name is Pia, and she has an online coaching program that helps branding agencies and branding experts and designers kind of just like learn a different business model that she has developed that she's been really successful in and then really wanted to build out the educational side of her business. And we've been working together now, I want to say a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. It's been a minute. When she first came to us, she had the experience that so many of our clients have before us, which is I ran ads, I invested with another agency, and it just like never quite worked. And I wasn't even really sure why. And it's that second part that drives me crazy. Because if it's not working, we should at least be able to identify why. And she had the experience of having, a lot of leads and a lot of the like good indicators that things were going well, but it was always the wrong people coming through and nobody was ever, ever, ever actually converting into her high ticket offer. And within our first 90 days together, she hit $200,000 in revenue from ads alone at a 10x return on ad spend. And this was like fast, quick, and it just like took off because it was so obvious why it wasn't working, right? It wasn't actually a long journey to figure it out. I looked at her stuff and I was like, let me fix this. Like it's so obvious. And so that's one of my favorites. I mean, been working with her, ongoing since then, but just to see that level of return and that level of results so fast when previously she was really never able to consistently get any quality calls booked for this offer. And now almost going on 2 years, it has a predictable system and it just keeps working. I think that's definitely transforming somebody's business.
Heck, transformation. I love it. She's in an interesting category of business too, because I know, designers are not they're not, a lot of them are just visual people. The marketing and the analytics and stuff, that's kind of foreign to a lot of designers. That's a cool area for sure. Well, so what do you think are the broader social and economic impacts of women-led businesses and communities? I mean, I know you're working with these women primarily all day, every day. What kind of impacts are you seeing from these women-led businesses?
I know there's all of these statistics, and I'm not going to try and pretend like I remember all of them exactly, but there's totally been all of these studies done that when women are the ones with access to money, they contribute more to their community. It is something that tends to like come back to the world or society versus just being something that like, is spent on frivolous things. Although I do love frivolous things. So let me be clear. I'm in support of both. Yeah. I mean, look, it even on that note, it's the fact that some of my clients can buy the house that they want and fly first class and take vacations and do those things that actually just make them happy. Like, to me, that counts for something. There's also knowing that they, because they have more access to predictable revenue, they're able to donate to the causes and charities that they care about. You know, just like having a voice in their communities, because they do technically have more power, if you will, because they have more money, right? I mean, we live in a capitalist society. That is just the truth. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's just what's true. And so the currency of making things happen is money. And, it's just, again, I always go back to my story. It doesn't matter if it's an abusive relationship or a dude that you just like kind of don't even like that much, but you're staying in the relationship because like he's paying your rent, right? Like, it doesn't even matter if it's that. Any version of a woman feeling that she can't make her own decisions, that she is beholden to any sort of situation, is like a putting out of her fire. And I can't stand for that. So yeah, that was a long-winded way of maybe hopefully answering your questions, but
I know, I love it. I think, people listening to this, what you're saying is going to resonate with some people for sure. I think it's going to definitely change some mindsets and give the right message. So I appreciate it. Now, you guys, besides advertising for your clients, what are you guys doing things outside of just running ads? I'm sure you're doing email marketing, copywriting, design. I mean, I'm sure you're doing a little bit of everything, but what are you doing besides just running ads for them?
yeah. So for most of our clients, we are just giving them the guidance, the strategy, the audits on all of the other pieces. But we do have, a la carte pricing for things like writing email sequences, building out email flows, building landing pages, building funnels. So kind of all the things that they would need is something that we have the ability to offer. But truthfully, with most of our clients, we are, and it's just baked into our retainer, right? All of the guidance, strategy, and audits to get their current stuff working. It's more of just like us telling them what to change, and then they go make those changes.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. Are you guys seeing with AI? Are you seeing, like, I don't know, are a lot of your customers using AI themselves? Are they just kind of leave everything up to you? I'm just curious because I see so many, I don't know, pros and cons with AI. I mean, I know people are using it to write copy, but I feel like, and this is a little bit off topic, I understand, I understand, but I feel like at some point everybody's going to be using AI, and then we're going to kind of flip the reverse button there, and it's going to be more important to put actual thought and planning into what you're writing and not just using AI. So I'm just curious, like, if you're seeing a lot of your customers starting to use AI with the writing aspect or other things.
Not that I can really think of, I don't know if this is like a bad thing to say publicly, but I just feel I don't know, my soul, and like an old school person, I've never used ChatGPT ever. I don't even know what the interface looks like. Like I truly, I have no idea. And I get it. I get that there's some cool stuff happening, but I remember, God, was it maybe a year ago? Like when ChatGPT launched and everybody was like, the whole world is gonna change. I'm like, listen, I've been through 35 iterations of this is the change that's going to change everything. And you're going to go out of business if you don't. I stay focused. I stay focused on the stuff that I know how to do, the stuff that I know to bring in the right clients. And I get that there are different tools that can support that process. I'm not in any way knocking AI. In fact, I don't know enough about it to even really speak on it. And I think that there are ways that I've heard of people using it that sound really cool. I just haven't personally. We definitely we have a copy team. We definitely our copywriters absolutely do not use AI. And most of what I've heard from our clients is that they like the idea of it, but they struggle to get something that does actually sound correct and authentic. And I also see all of these people running ads for their low ticket offers that help you train ChatGPT to write more in your voice, which I want to buy one of those. That sounds really cool. I totally believe there are people out there who are super experts on that, but I haven't personally touched it. I stay focused on what I know.
That's good. Yeah. And I'm just curious because I know, a lot, for me anyways, a lot of the outputs I see are very repetitive or similar, and you can kind of tell who's using AI and who's not in a lot of the copy that's written. So, it's a very useful and helpful tool to speed things up and do some planning and strategy stuff. But It does take a very specific way of prompting it to get what you want. So it is, it has some work for sure, but I'm curious what the future is gonna be like with AI and especially in design as well. Uh,
Yeah. Been thinking about, the Facebook, the Meta ads interface. Man, they're pushing it down our throats, making it impossible to even find where they've automatically turned on the AI copy. Like every day in one of my internal Slack channels, my team is like, found another tricky spot. And it's like, I get it. I'm sure what we're moving towards is Facebook's AI getting better and better and smarter. But right now, it's not there. Right now, they're like testing it on us. And, it's like we spend all of this time writing this really amazing aligned conversion copy for our clients and then a painstaking process of getting it approved by them. I mean, we have big clients. They have brands that goes through 7 levels of approval to then put the copy in Meta, and Meta to automatically, if we're not careful and don't catch it, make 37 other variations of it that are super robot. So we're like, please stop. You're not helping us. Can you stop that?
and now,
What's happening right now?
yeah, even in their like Facebook Messenger and their search bars, everything's yeah, use AI for everything, and it's getting crazy. But I'm sure it's going to continue evolving and get better and better over time. So what as far as like your team and agency structure, are there key systems you have in place to make sure that it's scalable and you can continue to grow and evolve over time? Is there things that you have implemented yourself that you guys just live by in order to keep growing and scaling?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million systems. We live and die by Asana. Asana is the Bible. We have a process and an SOP and a to-do list for every single thing you could think of. Interestingly enough, though, because you mentioned like to be, more scalable, we're actually not really trying to grow anymore. I feel like my trajectory from like 2019 to 2022 was like growth, multiple millions, like do the thing. And the last few years have been more about how awesome like MRR and stability is. And that like I used to, right? I mean, there's like a nervous system component of this too. I used to like need the hit of the big month and the big pay in full and the growth, and now it's just like consistency is actually really cool. And I feel anyway that I've gotten like pretty good at managing a team of this size and a client roster of this size. And I feel that if we grow any bigger, we will lose some of the boutique white glove experience that we are able to create. So my focus for the last year and going into next year is about optimizing what we already have, improving profit margins, and just making sure that like we are the best of the best, not actually continued growth. I like a company of this size. Yes, we have systems and processes for everything, but there's pieces of white glove service that you cannot systematize. You can't processize. Like you could try, but it loses its touch. And I never want to do that.
I love that. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with staying where you are and making sure you always have that high level of service. I love the white glove approach. I think that we all have that rush of I need to make $1 million this year, and this is I mean I just got to keep going. And then I think once yeah, you're right. And once you hit that milestone, it's like I did it. You just get kind of more comfortable with where you're at, and I really love your approach, and I love and respect the fact that you want to just maintain everything that's going on right now, and that you
Yeah.
don't start to diminish quality or the processes for customers. So I absolutely love that. I think it's very, very smart.
What we're actually doing, right? Because again, the agency sits between like 2 to 3 mil. We love it there. We're good at running a company of that size. I don't actually know if you know this, but we acquired. Did I tell you this? That we acquired another business.
You-
Just happened like 2 months ago. So we're like 2 months in. So it TBD on all of this, obviously. But the vision is, hey, if we're really good at running a $2 to $3 million business, let's do another one and another one. And like, let's bring that white glove, high touch service. Yes, with systems and processes to make things run smoothly, but never losing the experience piece of it. So that's like the next journey. The Ad Girls is doing well, we're strong, we're a well-oiled machine. Obviously looking into 2025, what additional little tweaks and things we can improve, but then going to, the next thing that we get to build to that, and so on and so forth, hopefully.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, I wish you nothing but the best and all the acquisitions coming in the future. I'm sure you're going to have a ton of those. So very, very cool. Now, what were you guys, you know very, very well how challenging it is to find the right people. How are you finding these people? I mean, are you going through freelance platforms, career sites? Is it mutual connections? How are you finding the people that are just a great fit for the Ag Girls?
Yeah. So, I mean, over the years, and there are people that have stayed with me that I have found on random freelance sites, but our current process that has been pretty refined and does seem to be working well now that we've been perfecting for the last few years is we use LinkedIn. Basically, we have so the account manager position is the one that we are often continuously hiring for as we grow. And so we have a job posting on LinkedIn that we put money behind that basically runs all of the time, because the truth is, I'm not hiring right now, but I mean, the reality of a team, somebody could quit, get sick, had, someone's mom get sick, and they need I need to have people on deck at all times. And so when we're in an active hiring phase, I turn the budget up on that LinkedIn job posting to 50 or $80 a day. In between, I'll run it for $4 or $5 a day. So there's something running all the time. We are constantly getting applications. That's been part of it, so that when I do need to go in there, I have a massive pool to choose from. That's been really helpful, instead of feeling the tightness of gotta pick one of these because that's all we got and we need to hire tomorrow. So we create the spaciousness and the options there. And then we have a pretty extensive process before we hire as well as after we hire. So the first thing we do is anybody who we like, we send them a list of 5 questions to answer over video, because sometimes someone looks so great and then on video they're talking like this and they won't okay, well, I can't put you client facing, you lack confidence. So there's also tangible questions that we're asking and getting their answers, but also part of it is how they present themselves and just vibe. Are they going to be the right vibe and the right culture fit? So step number 1 is, hey, we'd like to move you to the next step. Answer these questions via video. So many people don't even send in the video. So we're ruling out people, all throughout the process as we go. People who send the video, if we like their video, we send them a video back that is explaining basically how we operate, how we pay, how we're structured, the fact that we have a results-only work environment, so it isn't stat numbered hours necessarily. So lay of the land and say, if this sounds like a good fit to you, let us know, we'll schedule an interview. So they reply back and say yes. Then we schedule the interview that is a little bit of culture, a little bit of understanding their experience, questions, and that'll be about 30 to 45 minutes. And then if we like them from there, we have them do a skills assessment. It takes about 30 minutes, just a couple of questions. After the skills assessment, if we like them, we will offer them a position. And in the first 2 weeks of the position, they will basically go through a full week of going through our very extensive training portal. And then their second week is actually the mock of onboarding a client. So we give them a client, they do a real mock kickoff call, they go through the whole process of basically practicing as though they are stepping into a new client and developing the copy and creative briefs. They submit mock briefs to NLC. That's all part of the process, because they obviously have to learn how to work with your guys' tool, because obviously that's a big part of what we use. And after that, we give them clients.
That's amazing. I love the video part in particular. That is really, really awesome.
Changer. How much time I would have wasted getting on a call with somebody for them to open their mouth and to just immediately know that it's a no, that they could never be a fit. It saves so much time.
It's genius. I am sure somebody's going to hear this and say, why are we not doing this? I love that. And we have our own unique ways of kind of weeding out the tire kickers, I call them, and, kind of screening people and just seeing who's serious and who's going to be a good fit. But, I've not really heard many people talk about that. And that's very, very interesting. I really like that.
Yeah, it's incredibly helpful. There is just a vibe or an essence, if you will, about a human that you can't get until you are face to face with them, if you will. And that initial video gives you a sense of that.
I love it. That's really, really smart. Very good. So what is your big vision for the future of women in business? I mean, what is how are you guys going to be contributing to that? Obviously, you're working with them, you're running ads, but what is your vision for the future with women-led businesses?
I mean, just like ridiculous amounts of money is really the vision. More money than we ultimately know what to do with. That's for myself, that's for my team, that's for my clients. And then we also have a partnership with an organization called Free From. And they actually, the only organization that I'm aware of that specifically works with survivors of domestic abuse to help them become financially independent after you exit those relationships. Everything else that's out there is like, how do you get out safely, which is super important. We need that. But like, then what? And so this organization really supports this financial independence piece, specifically with survivors of abuse. We've donated something like 50,000. Oh, I don't know. I forget the exact number over the years. So we regularly donate to them and supporting their work. We run their ads pro bono. So that's another, just important part. They are doing some just insane work with changing policy at government level. Like it's just really beyond anything, and being able to support that while also knowing that some of what we're doing is just making it so women have a lot of money and can do like cool shit in the world, even if that means like buying whatever they want. It's the full spectrum of all of that. That's the vision.
Amazing. And good for you for supporting these organizations, and thanks for sharing their name as well. I think that's very, very important to hear about. So very, very cool. We're kind of getting to the end of the episode here, and there's a couple things I wrote down that I thought people would really love to hear from you. One was, is there one strategy that you could say, if you're an agency owner, you need to take this with you at the end of this podcast episode? Is there anything that, I know it's hard to pick just one, but is there one thing that you think that agency owners should learn?
Going back to I talked about how like messaging, how important messaging is to us. I think it's like, let's not don't overcomplicate messaging testing. My most successful ad that I run specifically to get clients for the ad girls, because I get about 75 to 80% of our clients actually from ads, the rest are word of mouth and referrals, this ad is maybe millions of dollars. It is a black background, white text that I made in Canva that took me, like, it is so basic. And anytime I try to get more creative and do something like better, cooler, it never works. It's so, I guess the point is that messaging testing that is so crucial can be, and actually I think sometimes should be done with like black background, white text, white background, black. Like you can test messaging and really understand what is working with ads in just such a super simple way. And then once you know the messaging that's working, you can continue to iterate, do cooler designs, cooler concepts, whatever. But that like very basic level of like, what are the right people going to actually resonate with? The execution of that can just be so simple. And in fact, I think when we overcomplicate it, we get in our own way.
It's interesting, the black background, white text, because I remember when I was kind of specializing in ad creatives for social. That's what where I kind of got my footing in this whole space. But I always thought like, okay, at the time, Facebook didn't have dark mode. It was just light mode, just regular mode. And I would always test black backgrounds or something that's super high contrast against white, and they would stand out really well. So now we have dark mode. It's kind of like, should we test the opposite and it's white background, black text? But I always thought that was kind of interesting to think about what pops on the actual news feed and what the colors of the apps are and the websites people are surfing. So that's really interesting. And I know a lot of times it's surprising what just testing can do. You think that you need to put all this time and money into production, and something you make in Canva just blows it out of the water. So I love the whole testing aspect of things for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I'm all for simplicity and the easiest way to do something. And I still learning this lesson, will still occasionally make things more complicated for myself than I need to. I'm gonna come up with a concept and it's gonna do this, and like It never works. It always flops. And my black background, white text that literally is like, basically it says like done for you Facebook ads. Like that's like the whole ad. And it just like continues to hit month after month after month. And I'm like, lesson learned for now.
Test. Yep. You're knowing them, you're learning from the testing. I think it's really important for any agency owner. Just always keep testing.
Yeah.
What mistakes have you learned from over the years? This is a big deal to build an agency and to build it as big as you are today and all the staff that you have and all the customers. Is there anything that you've really flopped on or learned from over the years that an agency owner could take away from this?
I don't know if it's like a flop.
Maybe that's a bad way to phrase that, Lauren.
You're fine. Like I flop every single day. But maybe that's actually we got into this in a way I didn't think we were going to, but it's perfect. There's actually no way to not flop. Take that off the table. It's how fast you recover from the flop. And in fact, instead of thinking that what you're aiming for is everything is going to be perfect and I've got this, it's like, okay, the success is when actually you flop like literally every single day and instantly bounce back and then do it again and instantly bounce back. It's the recover from the flop. And then with that, right? So like I've done a lot of personal development work over the years. The latest thing that I've been into for the last few years is nervous system regulation work. That has been just phenomenal, transformational, incredible. You cannot, I don't think you can run any business without working on those components of self that obviously come through when you are dealing with clients, dealing with team. 3,000 mistakes happen today. Like, who are you going to be in relation to that? How are you going to sit with the fact that like now there's a mistake done that is tied to your name? Like there's just so much deep personal work. And then the exception that we're not trying to get to a place where nothing ever goes wrong. It's not possible.
You're absolutely right on that. Yeah. What a great segue into that whole thing. Right?
I know.
Yeah, this is perfect. No, very, very well said. So kind of to wrap things up here, is there any resources that you would recommend other women entrepreneurs should look into when starting a business or getting into marketing? Anything big out there that you would recommend?
Can I shamelessly plug myself?
Please.
Great. Well, there's 3 different ways that you can work with something tied to Jennifer Spivak. Obviously, there's the ad girls, which we've been talking about, where we do done for you ads. And so that's for anybody who's really ready to scale with ads. We also have a $497 a month monthly membership. That's for female agency owners that are looking to scale. So that's another offer if you're specifically an agency owner, very accessible price point. And in it includes access to all of our processes, our templates, everything we use to run our agency, the entire marketing funnel that I use to get clients. So if you're an agency owner, even if you're early on, right, it's just $497 a month. So that's a great resource. And then the company that we just acquired, which is called Easy Scaling, they are by design actually working with usually businesses who are like just hitting 6 figures, maybe mid 6 figures. So they might be clients who are a little too early for the ad girls, but Easy Scaling really supports with the overall just like operations for how to run and scale a successful business. And over there, we also do have a couple of offers that are at pretty accessible price points all the way up to completely done for you. So between one of those 3 things, you probably fall into one of those buckets. We've got something for you.
Awesome. Yeah. And I had no idea you did the monthly membership with coaching. That's very, very cool. So
yeah,
guys, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you go to theadgirls.com, check out Jennifer's website, brand new website, I should say too, because I literally looked at it a week ago and it looks totally different as of yesterday or today. So phenomenal job on the design. It's great. I poked around through the team pictures and learned a little bit about everybody. And you have quite a large team, but everything turned out so great. So make sure you guys check out theadgirls.com. And Jennifer, thank you so much for hopping on. And it's been a pleasure. And thank you for your continued business with us. And it's been awesome to just see your journey over the year as well and how well things are going for you. So I wish you nothing but the best.
I always love to hear the cool stuff you're up to. So the feeling is very mutual.
Thank you so much, and hope you have a great holiday. Go acquire some more businesses next year. I'll be keeping my eye out for everything you guys are doing.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks so much.